Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a guide on how to play Arabia in Age of Empires 2, and although this guide is hopefully going to be great for beginner players and the newer players, hopefully this guide is also beneficial to the established player base and to the guys even grinding the rank ladder, because in this video I'll also be giving you guys some pro tips and some tips for 1v1s as well as team games. So hopefully some information here for everyone. If you guys want to support me further and also get access to more of my guides and my build orders, go ahead and check me out on Patreon, link in the description below. I love how you guys can interact with me on that platform and how I can offer you a bunch of different additional content to get better at Age of Empires 2. So definitely check that out if you're interested, and if not, let's learn some Arabia. Alright, to start things off, when it comes to Arabia, it is basically the most generic and the most standard map in Age of Empires 2, and it's actually the most popular map in the game. And so the map consists of a very level playing field with a very balanced set of resources. A good amount of woodlands spread across the base, spread across the map. You've got a good amount of hills, you've got a good amount of gold and stone. You start with 3 gold piles, 1 7-tile and 2 4-tile golds, and you start with 2 stone piles, 1 of 5 tiles of stone and the other of 4 tiles of stone. You also get 3 or 4 deers in one patch, and you also get your berries that are 6 times 125, so it's a decent amount of food from the berry patch. You then also get 2 boars and 8 sheep, and this is what we call the standard resource distribution in Age of Empires 2. It actually comes from the map Arabia. No matter what other map you play, you always compare it to the resources that you get in Arabia, because this is exactly what is considered to be standard. On the rest of the map, there's sometimes some stray deer patches that you might find. You'll never find another extra berry patch. It's not going to happen unless you're playing team games, and 1v1s you will not. And then you'll also find some golds and stones spread across the map, and these will be considered neutral golds and stones that you and your opponent will fight over. There's also a bunch of hills on the map, and this makes it so certain areas of the map become more important. The bigger the hill, the more important it is to control it, because as we all know, hill bonus is crucial for taking good fights and for sieging and for holding a position. If you guys want to know more about hill bonus, I have some videos on YouTube that you can search for it, and you can understand how hill bonus works. Alright, so now that we have a good grip of what the map looks like, let's talk about how to play it. What's the most popular strategies? How do you open on this map? And what is your goal? Well, to start things off in the early game, Dark Age, you're looking to just develop your economy like normal, follow any of my build orders, and you'll get through it no problem. And then when it comes to Feudal Age, usually you've got a few options as to what you want to open. But the general rule is that you want to open with military. Military is key on this map, because if you try to go up to Castle Age without making a single bit of army, a single bit of military, you're probably going to get destroyed, because if your opponent, if he's going army, he can easily control your woodlines, push you off your berries, and you'll slowly get surrounded and you won't be able to really play. So although you can go for a fast castle, you probably have to wall up your base and prevent your opponent, who's most likely going for a Feudal Age army, from getting inside. It is the only way to consistently get away with a fast castle. And so generally speaking, you want to go for some army, put some pressure on your opponent, continue to develop your economy with a lot of farms, go on to gold in Feudal Age, and then from there you can work your way up to Castle Age. And you're looking to get to Castle Age around, on average, 20 to 25 minutes after a successful, hopefully successful, Feudal Age rush. And then from there onwards, you can start to develop your economy, expand on the different golds and stones across the map and in your base. And then before going to Imperial Age, you want to try controlling some of the hills on the map and maybe getting a castle, and then work your way to Imperial Age and play from there. The most common openings for Feudal Age rushes are as follows. You can either go for some Dark Age militia, so this is just delaying your Feudal Age by adding in some militia in Dark Age and harassing your opponent. You can go for men-at-arms, which is just adding in some militia on the way up to Feudal Age. Come Feudal Age, you send them forward, 3 or 4 militia, and you upgrade them to men-at-arms, and then you switch into archers afterwards. It's a very aggressive opening. And then you can go for the more standard build orders, which is a scout rush, so you go like 20 population or 19 population scout rush. You go to Feudal Age, make a stable, attack your opponent with some scouts, or you can go for archery range or archer rush, and you can go again 19 pop, 20 pop up, and then you go for 1 or 2 ranges, and you put pressure on your opponent with a mix of archers and skirmishers, and then some spearmen if you need to counter your opponent's scouts. After you go for a rush, I highly recommend you start walling up your base, and this is usually done in Feudal Age as well. So while you're putting pressure on your opponent with your army, you can start to slowly wall up your base just to secure your map. So if your opponent is trying to raid you in Castle Age and attack your villagers, you won't really be able to do so, because you're going to be well protected with your own army and your walls. Alright, how does this map play out in team games? Listen, in team games, it's very simple. I'm going to give you the secret for every single team game. So in 2v2, your one player will go archers and the other player will go scouts. This is basically the only strategy that works consistently as far as opening, the game can transition into all kinds of crazy things: unique units, siege, walling the map, heavy pushes, a lot of raiding. The game can transition to everything, but opening wise, one player goes scouts, the other guy goes archers, and you try to work together to attack one of your opponents, and you'll be good to go. In 3v3, the pocket player, the middle player goes scouts, the 2 flank player goes for archers. And in 4v4, 2 pockets will go scouts, 1 on each side, and 2 flank players will go archers. It's that simple. Like I said, the game will transition into all kinds of craziness, but to open, you keep it simple, you keep it standard, and that is the best way to play Arabia. Some people say it gets boring to play team games in Arabia because it's always the same thing, and to some degree, I can kind of agree with that. I don't think it gets boring because I love this game and I can play the same thing over and over and always try to optimize it, me personally, but I can see how the average player might get bored of always doing the same strategy. So that's why team game Arabia is a little bit stale according to some of the player base, but I still think it's fun and it's worth playing. Alright, now let's talk about what civs work really well on Arabia, and the answer is pretty much everything, but my favorite civilizations are the ones that have an early game advantage. So something that has a good and consistent start. Something like the Mongols, something like the Franks. These civilizations are really good at putting pressure on your opponent early and having really consistent ways to gain control of the game from the start of Feudal Age. So Mongols with their better scout in the early game, the hunt bonus lets you get to Feudal Age faster, you go for a scout rush, men-at-arms, archers, whatever you want to do, you almost always have the initiative. Very smooth game. Same thing with the Franks. You have the higher HP scouts, you have your berry bonus, the free farm upgrade. Very straightforward civilizations, but a lot of other civilizations work. Ethiopians for archers, Mayans, all kinds of meso civilizations for eagles and archers and stuff like that. Basically anything works. It just depends on how you want to play and what your play style is. Even Gurjaras, say going for some sort of like camel plus scout rush in Feudal Age, for example, can be really solid. So a bunch of different civilizations work and a bunch of different styles work. As long as you're mixing in some kind of early aggression into a balanced Feudal Age and balanced Castle Age with some army and some economy, I think you'll have a really good chance of winning. As far as pro tips for Arabia, I've got a couple, but again, it really depends on the situation because Arabia games can be basically anything. It depends on your opponent's civ, your civ, and what happens in the early game and what ends up going down in the game. But because I've played so many games of Arabia, let me give you a little bit of intel and a little bit of quick tips that you can apply to your game to just get an edge over your opponent. So the first tip is going to be for team games, and this is having to do with trade. I've got 2 tips for you. In late game trade, or late game scenarios in 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, it doesn't matter, any team game for Arabia, you want to stonewall the whole map. I know it's tedious, but do it. In the late game in Pure Age, stonewall the whole map. You can split the responsibility. One guy walls his side, the other guy walls his side. Do a stonewall with the wood lines throughout the whole map, and then that's going to be your trade route. One guy gets markets on one side, the other guy gets markets on the other. And if you got 4 players, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, and you start trading across the entire map with your markets. And a bit more of a high-level tip, when you start trade, it's exactly this. As soon as you click Imperial Age, you send 3 or 4 villas to the corner to make markets. After you make your markets, those villas can just make a lumber camp and just take wood there, no problem. And so that's going to be the best way to set up trade. That way you get up to like 50 trade carts, you never run out of gold, and you're able to destroy your opponent with Paladin, Arbalest, Heavy Siege, whatever the case may be, even Elephant sometimes. And your opponent, if he runs out of gold, he's not trading properly, he doesn't watch my videos, he's going to die because he's running out of trade and he's playing with halberdiers and hussars, which are just not enough in team games. And then a pro tip for 1v1, this is going to help you get a very consistent opening every single game. This is how you do it. In 1v1s, no matter what strategy you go for, let's say you're going for scouts or archers, you go barracks, then you go stable if you're going scouts, you make it with 2 villagers. One villager starts making a house on one side, and the other villager makes a palisade wall on the left side. So one on the left side, one on the right side, and those 2 villagers are the only 2 villagers that will wall your entire base. One goes around the left side in a circle or to the edge of the map, and the other guy goes from the right side in a circle around your base or to the right side of the map. And so no matter what happens, you will be fully walled within 3 or 4 minutes. Also, you wall with a mix of houses and palisade walls, and this is the perfect way to do it to make sure you wall a good amount fast enough, but you're not walling too much where you can't afford to make units, you can't afford to keep your economy running and to make farms and whatnot. So this is the perfect way to slowly wall your map, but also do it in a good time where it's not too slow. And it's exactly what I do, and I am one of the best Arabia players that there is, so it's definitely something that's worth trying if you're looking to improve or looking for a pro tip. Again, I told you there's something in this video for everyone. I guarantee most players out there, even the 2K5s, aren't doing this. There's only a few pro players, and they're the best in the business, that actually do this. And I've been watching and I've been noticing there's only a few. Alright guys, I hope this video was helpful both for new players and for the experienced players that love to play Arabia. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know in the comments below what map you want to see next in this map guide series. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. See you guys in the next video. Peace.